The card I drew was a Torngar, the demonic panda from hell. Welcome back in, you guys, to another One Piece video. Today, we're here to talk about Brook and Gunko. We saw that last chapter, Brook was MIA. Jinbei said that Brook realized something and he took off as soon as possible. How did he do this? Not too sure. Last we saw, he was wrapped up in a bunch of Gunko's arrows. So maybe he's just hopping around like that. Maybe he did just take his body apart and reassemble himself outside of the arrows. Not too sure. But no matter how he did it, we do know more or less where he's going. He's going to Gunko, guys. You know, he's gonna go see his long-lost friend, and he might try to save her. And because of that, I decided to hold a poll to see how successful he might be. So, getting right into the mix, the poll says if Brook goes to Gunko, will he be able to save Gunko by himself? And look at this, it is almost even. 47% of people say yes, Brook by himself with his music will liberate Gunko. Another way he could liberate her is via his soul powers, or maybe he simply gets Gunko to remember him. But either way, 40% of people believe that Brook will do the job solo dolo, whereas 46% of people say no, Brook will not be enough. We need Luffy or Loki's help. I put both of them there. One, because Luffy is the sun god. He is the warrior of liberation. So if somebody were to do it, I think he makes a lot of sense. And then as far as why Loki would do it, well, we saw that Rox mentioned that his devil fruit is one of the two that is needed to topple the world. And of course, he did beat Domi Reversi Herald. So maybe if you have to knock Imu out of Gunko, Loki would be one of your best bets. 46 and 47, kind of crazy. It is so dang close. And now you might be wondering, where are the last 7% of votes? Well, the 7% down here believe that Brook isn't even going to Gunko. I know, pretty crazy. It's not a theory that I believe in or could really see happening, but because I did see some people bringing this up, I did want to represent them. So here we have it. Where could Brook be going right now? Not too sure. I think the main options would be to fight Dory and Brogy to stop the school and library from burning, or maybe he is off to save the kids. Maybe he really grew fond of them and he's like, hey, more so than anything, I gotta go save those little things. So as far as where he could have gone, I think there are good options out there. Like first up, he could go to the school and library that's currently burning. Maybe Brook uses his soul slash and he freezes the fires, thus saving all the books of Ohara. I think that is pretty solid. Granted, if Brook were doing that, I feel like we would have seen it last chapter because Robin was looking at the school and library and at the fire. So if Brook did go that direction, I feel like they would see him in the distance. Another option would be the kids. Maybe Brook wants to stop the kids from going forward, so he freezes the kids in their tracks, which could be pretty solid, actually. Yeah, Brook freezes the kids so they can't move, and because they're frozen, the thorns don't start bumping into each other. That would be really good. Wait a minute. Yeah, Brook freezing the kids. Huh. I like it. And then as far as like the last option, he could just simply be going to Dory, Brogy, or fighting the nightmare monsters. Maybe he simply wants to save the village. That could also be it. But I think the kid route would be the best one here. But yeah, just getting back to what I think is most plausible and what I would vote for, I do think that Brook will end up heading towards Gunko. And we just gotta remember the last few plot points with Brook. He was about to say that he recognizes her. He was about to call out for her, but that is when Gunko wrapped his mouth up with bandages so that he couldn't talk anymore. And then Gunko, last we saw, before Imu came to this island, she was running towards Brook because her memories started coming back. There's just so much there that I can't imagine Oda not putting Brook in that situation again. So yes, it now just gets boiled down to whether Brook by himself will be able to save Gunko, or if we will need Luffy and Loki's help. Personally, I would love it if Brook did it all solo dolo. If Brook is the one to send Imu back to the Holy Land, chef's kiss. That would be grand. But if that were to happen, then we wouldn't really need Luffy or Loki here. Because if Emu goes away, I doubt Gunko's gonna be a bad person, especially towards Brook. So Gunko, off the board. Domi Reversi, done. All that's left is Killingham and Sommers. Are those Luffy and Loki opponents? No, you know, Zoro and Sanji are probably going to handle those guys, if not Usopp, because it's Elbaph. So because getting rid of Gunko-Emu via Brook would eliminate the big bad villain of the island and take away Luffy and Loki's potential fight, I don't think Brook is going to be successful. I think he will have a big impact, though. I do believe that Brook will play music. I do believe that Brook will bring Gunko back, and maybe that does end up nerfing Emu. I think Brook will be vital, but I do think that he needs help, unfortunately. And, you know, when it comes to Brook liberating people, that's not insane, dude. We saw that it was called the Drums of Liberation. Who's to say that Brook doesn't have the Guitar of Liberation? Brook has music that also liberates you. Maybe Brook plays music alongside the drums and it becomes a whole band session. That could be it. And we have seen on multiple occasions that Brook has whipped out the Sun Ga Nika dance. Of course, a lot of characters have done it at this point, but Brook most notably did it in Fishman Island while he was performing his concert. And 2, he did it at the start of Elbaph while all the giants were celebrating. I think Brook and his music will go absolutely crazy. And brother, we cannot undersell music as a whole. In Film Red, music was the way to spawn Tot Musica, and it was the way to beat Tot Musica. So yeah, man, I think Brook's music is gonna go crazy. I hope he whips out a brand new song, because personally, this is like my own personal taste. I'm not the biggest fan of any music Brook has put out thus far, but maybe Oda's gonna whip out an absolute banger with the Gunko backstory. And yeah, if music isn't the way, if that is not the answer, another specialty that Brook has in his bag would be soul-based attacks. He's the only Straw Hat thus far that can attack your soul. He's the only Straw Hat that can control his soul. We don't know how Emu's black magic works. We do not know how the Mark of the Abyss exactly works yet, how it exactly functions. So maybe Brook will be pivotal when it comes to destroying Emu's connection here. Like imagine, Brook goes in and instead of cutting Gunko, he cuts Emu's soul. He severs the connection. I like it, man. I would like that a lot. And you know, going over to Big Mom in Whole Cake Island, that is why Brook did massive damage to Prometheus and Zeus. It's because he directly attacks the soul. I would love it if Oda brought that back and made Brook that damn important. And one thing people love to bring up is that during Brook's time skip arc, we saw how he was summoned to the island. Of course, it was via Kumo's paw pad, but Brook landed in a summoning circle. It kind of does remind us of the Abyss Circle. So it's like maybe Oda's cooking something there, man. Maybe that's a hint that Brook and Emu's powers are in the same vein, and that's why Brook would be important here. He is the one person in the group who does extra damage. Ah, man. Yeah, you know, it's funny. Coming into Elbaph, I don't think anybody expected Brook to get such a massive spotlight. Or even Frankie. Frankie also had a big spotlight, not only with the mural, but Frankie has this like 3,000-year-old robot building with ancient technology. Dude, Robin, Boom, O'Hara, Buck, Saul, every Straw Hat that I wouldn't say got tossed to the wayside in the past couple of arcs, but all the Straw Hats that are not a part of the Monster Trio, they are getting some nice time in the spotlight. And I love it, man. You know, I would love just more Brook hype, more Chopper hype, more Robin hype, just anything for them, dude. It doesn't even have to be fight related, just something on the side that feels special to them. That right there would just be absolute money. So I was in the bathroom earlier and I was thinking about One Piece in general. I'm currently rewatching the anime. I just got back to Whole Cake Island and we got the whole Vin Smoke reveal, and that's a lot of fun. And that really got me thinking. It's like, wait, which Straw Hats do not have last names yet? Official last names. There's not a lot. You know, we know Roronoa Zoro, we know Monkey D. Luffy. Usopp, we don't know his last name yet, if I recall correctly. We have Nico Robin. And it's like, yeah, like these last names are important. Brook doesn't have a last name yet. And I do wonder, when we get this Brook and Gunko backstory and we learn about the kingdom that Brook originally served, I would love it if we got Brook's last name officially in the cards. I think that'd be really awesome. Another Straw Hat with no last name currently, Nami. Nami's another missing piece of the puzzle. Usopp is up there, but I don't think Usopp has any special lineage, so I'm not like looking forward to that per se. So I'm not exactly, you know, waiting on bated breath for the Usopp last name reveal. Let me look it up real quick. Usopp last name. It's not there, right? Yeah, Usopp does not have an official last name yet. But hey, then again, there is a popular theory that Usopp is a Mont Blanc descendant because he lied about it. And, you know, Usopp lies sometimes become true. So maybe that's it. That could just be another big reveal waiting. I don't know. But yeah, Usopp aside, Brook, I think his last name will be important, and same with Nami. So, yeah. Now that we're done with the Brook Gunko talk, let's get to the comment section, guys. Top comment says, what if Luffy and Brook do a duet? Like Luffy's Drums of Liberation along with Brook's song. Yep, that's what I mentioned earlier. And hey, Brook knows how to play every instrument. That is what he said when we first met him. So I would love it if Brook also whipped out like another drum and he starts drumming with Luffy. Maybe the guitar is what he does. Maybe the violin. Like there's so many things Brook could do here, man. Brook asking for help like Nami did at Arlong Park. Call back season. Okay, I don't think Brook's gonna ask for help. I think Luffy and Loki will simply see the strongest person on this island and go towards Gunko. That is what I'm imagining. Brook asking for help would be kind of funny though. I'd imagine he would do this if Gunko leaves the island. Like, hey, Luffy, Loki. Okay, not Loki. Eliminate Loki. Hey, Straw Hats, Luffy. Can we save my friend? I think that is very reasonable. I think this is the reason we get Loki versus Luffy. Luffy will be unwilling to compromise Gunko once he learns of her and Brook's connection, but Loki won't care. Just wanted to take out Imu. Luffy will protect Gunko, Brook severs her connection, and Imu gets away. Loki blames Luffy for wasting the opportunity. That would be interesting. Yeah. I think this would be really interesting. Would Loki not care though? Because we have seen that Loki is somewhat a nice guy. If Luffy asks Loki to, you know, maybe hold back a little bit, I'd like to imagine Loki would. You know, Loki has lost his father at the hands of Imu in the past. Loki knows how painful that is. So if there is a way to save Gunko and Luffy or Brook express it, I think Loki would go along with it. But maybe that's just me. You know, maybe I'm just imagining that Loki's a better guy than he is, but I think he'd do it. I'm going all in on Brook. He's got this. Brook fans are gonna rise for this one. I respect it. Finally, a poll with equal number of votes at 47. It was equal 4 hours ago, but now, look at this. The tides are turning, man. The tides are turning. He's not even going to Gunko. Then where the f is he going? I listed the options. Like I said, kids aren't bad. School library, sure. But yeah, realistically, it's gotta be Gunko, man. His powers are based on souls, so maybe, I don't know, Oda could expand on Brook's power. Yep. I would also like it if Brook awakens. I think people have been talking about Brook's awakening for years and years and years now. But if he does awaken, imagine just what he could do with that. He could bring people back from the dead. He could harness soul energy. Oh man, there's so much potential there, man. He goes to Gunko, but saving her is not going to be easy. She will get away, and Brook is going to keep quiet right now because he has a dark secret. A dark secret. I don't know. I feel like at this point in time, the Straw Hats all trust each other so much that Brook wouldn't keep it a secret. It goes back to like Sanji's Vinsmoke lineage. He even says it. He's like, hey guys, like I wasn't trying to keep this from you. There was just no reason to really talk about it. So when it comes to Brook's backstory here, I feel like he could just say the same thing. I don't think he would mind if the Straw Hats knew what he did in the past. Brook will try harder than he's ever done when reviving Gunko. Focusing on his devil fruit, reviving her from Imu makes his mind and body align with the desires of the fruit, except he doesn't have a mind or body, and he awakens it. Yeah, he awakens the fruit and saves Gunko. Yeah, I have seen that. People saying that Imu will pull away Gunko's soul, kind of like what they did to Saturn, but Brook awakens and he puts it back in. That would be really interesting. Like I said, we haven't really seen too much of Brook using the Yomi Yomi no Mi in that way, but I would be down for it. Brook is going to free Gunko from Imu, might even be able to damage Imu's real body back in the Holy Land. That'd be fun. Yeah, I mean, Imu is just so broken. There's got to be like some repercussions, like, oh, if he takes damage in Gunko's body, it does connect back to the OG body. That makes sense. Brook plays the Nika beat with Luffy. Man, Usopp needs to do something this arc. He's the only Stride I feel that is completely useless. Wait. Last chapter, Usopp was getting hyped. We just need him to get freed, and then we can like start imagining what he's gonna do more vividly. Because right now it's up in the air, right? By the time Usopp gets freed, what will be the current battlefront? Will killing him still be up? Will Summer still be up? Are Dory and Brogy still demonified? We have no idea. But yeah, once Usopp gets freed, we can then start dropping the really specific Usopp questions and start hyping him up. Brook is on his way to meet up with Ange to betray Elbaph. That's crazy. Yeah, Ange betraying Elbaph still. Hey, I liked it, man. Hey, surprisingly enough, man, Killingham had Ange burn down the school and library, and then instead of beating Ange up, like how Killingham beat up the rest of the Giants, he left Ange alone. What's going on here? Does Killingham not hurt women? Is he like the Sanji of the Holy Knights? I don't know, dude. I don't know. A Holy Knight that doesn't beat an innocent woman? It's suspicious. It's suspicious. 50-50. Brook and Gunko will have to work together to overcome Emu. I don't know how Brook would do that or if it's even possible, but the only way is from the inside and outside, like with taught Musica in film Red. Oh yeah, the music dimension. You know, funny you say that. This isn't where I thought you were going when you said inside. I thought you were going to say that Brook was going to put his soul inside of Gunko, which could be really interesting. Yeah. Obviously, had nothing to do with Domi Reversi or Emu's powers, but I remember one of the big things with devil fruits that we learned about in the past is that the way a devil fruit works is that you have a devil inside of you. So if you eat a second devil fruit, you die, because the two devils inside of your bodies fight, and then it just kills you. Maybe that's what Brook does. He goes inside of Gunko with his soul power, and then he sees Emu, and then Brook fights Emu. That'd be interesting, man. Yeah, there's just so much potential with the music, with the soul abilities, that I am betting heavy on Brook. But because Brook winning would eliminate Luffy and Loki's opponent, I don't think it's going to happen. I think he will need their help. And it could go back to what you're saying here, right? Yeah, Brook beats Emu from the inside, and then Luffy and Loki beat Gunko from the outside. 2 for 1. I love it. So now, for the last bowl, we're taking a turn. Obviously, this is heavy on Brook, but I do want to pivot over to Jarul, because he is looking good, brother. He is. Fight-wise, not so much, but his speeches, his role, I love this dude. So I had to ask, what will happen to Jarul in Elbaph? 4 options on the board. First one is that he looks amazing in a fight. Second one is that he gets de-aged by Bonney to Prime Rule. Yes, that is right. Last chapter, Hyruden did say that 300 years ago, Jarul was the strongest warrior born on the ocean. He's the strongest warrior to ever set foot off of Elbaph. Oh my god. They talked about Jarul like he was fucking Satoru Gojo, man. Like his birth changed power scaling as a whole. Of course, I'm over exaggerating, but he did get a lot of respect on the power front, right? So because they mentioned that, I brought up the idea that maybe Bonney would actually just, boom, bring him back to his prime. Because right now, like, I can't imagine him fighting too much as an old man. I feel like his stamina would be really worn down. So, yeah, I do like the Bonney de-aging theory. And we do know that Bonnie's here. Bonney is literally in Elbaph, and Oda did not put her on the map last chapter. She is MIA. And I think the reason why is because when Bonney shows up, it's going to be very significant. It's going to be a surprise. And I think this would fit really damn well. Prime Rule would go crazy. As far as why Bonney would do it to him specifically, like maybe Jarul gets beaten, he's on the ground, and he's like, this is 300 years ago, I would have beaten Dory and Brogy. And then Bonney, boom, touches him, and then he is young again. I think that'd be fire, man. I think that'd be so cool. Imagine we get Prime Rule and he looks awesome. Like, dude, he gets skinnier, he gets more muscular, his beard shrinks a little bit, his helmet changes. Oh, dude. And the thing is, too, is that we don't really know how it would affect the sword in his head, but if the sword comes off, that's his sword. That is the sword he gave King Harold. He would have his OG weapon as well. Prime Rule, man. The potential of this guy. if he's anything that Hiruden is hyping him up to be, maybe he's like top 10 potential. I don't know. You know, we're all hyping up Loki, but maybe Prime Rule is the one we got to keep our eyes open towards. This says, sword gets removed from his head. Yeah, the third option is really interesting. I feel like a lot of people think this will happen. I believe in it as well. I don't know how it's going to happen, because when Usopp tried to yank on the sword, Jarul was in pain. So it's not like one of those gags where, you know, you just pull it out and it's whatever. I feel like there will have to be a devil fruit tied to this, or Jarl will simply die when the sword gets removed. Like, for example, we're all expecting Hiruden to get a nice upgrade here in Elbaph. Hiruden so far is nothing like his brother. It is so bad. I want to hold the poll. Who does Oda hate more? The God Knights or Hiruden? I don't know, brother. Like, the betrayal is bad on both ends. Maybe Oda hates Hiruden more. But if Oda wants to give Hiruden a nice upgrade, boom, give Hiruden his father's sword, Jarl's legendary sword, and Hiruden is the one who pulls it out. Maybe that kills Jarl, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, I think it will have to get released at some point. The best way to get it out without killing Jarl and without Bonney's magical, you know, Toshi no Mi powers would be with Law. I know, Law, Elbaph, what the hell? We don't know where Law's at. We saw that it was beaten by Blackbeard. The closest island to Law is Elbaph. So maybe he came here, but maybe he didn't. You know, like, it's one of those things, like, is he here? Is he not? Same with Kid. Is Kid still in Elbaph? Is he gone? We don't know. But Law realistically could do this. He would just simply shambles the sword, use the Ope no Mi, and Jarl's head would be fine. So yeah, the sword getting pulled, I think, is a fun idea. And, you know, Usopp did call it Excalibur, the legendary sword that needs to be pulled from the stone. It's gonna happen, man. There's no way we end this series with Jarl still impaled by that blade. And yeah, look at it, man. 43% of people, they do believe that that sword is coming out one way or another. That sword is getting removed. And now for the last option, it's simply other. You know, anything that I didn't predict, anything you want to throw up here. I put dies, I put all of the above even, or just etc. And it looks like 22% of people are there on that boat. Of course, we're going to go through the comment section and see what they really mean by that. But yeah, dying, I don't think it would be awful. Jarl is the oldest man alive right now at 408. You know, minus the Gorosei, minus Emu, of course. So him dying, I don't think it would be crazy. I just think it would be a little bit sad because he is such a great representative of Elbaph. You know, I've really come to enjoy Jarl in this arc. So I personally wouldn't want him to go. But maybe that's why he should go. His impact is so grand and he's so old that we do need the newer generation to just really start stepping in. But we will see. No, okay, one reason to keep Jarl around is because he is the best leader of Elbaph. If Jarl dies, I cannot imagine Hiruden stepping into his shoes and being the leader. Same with Dorian Brogy even. So I feel like we need to keep him around until we get another person like Jarl in here. Unless you want to say Saul, but Saul's a teacher. I don't know. Either way, I'm getting into like semantics. Top comment right here says, de-aging is perfect for multiple reasons. Hiruden stated that 300 years ago, bro was him in his prime. Performed by Bonney, it's temporary, so it's not too crazy off of a buff. We could see this character in all of its glory, and we could power scale him. Okay, I like how these two, lore relevant, it works. Yep, perfect. And then this is just because the fan base can power scale him. I love it. Once Jarl showed his true power, he could die in an epic death battle, just like a Viking would want to. Okay, yeah, no, I agree with this. Prime Rule is just a lot of fun. Seeing what he looks like, seeing how powerful, I agree. It's all right there. Like you said, the Bonney thing is temporary. Like when Bonney de-ages the Marines, for example, they turn back to normal like the day after. So yeah, give it to Jarl, brother. I think as long as the second option happens, the other two will happen too. I could see Jarl dying a warrior's death. On one hand, I would love to see him in his prime. On the other, I think it'd be even better if he had the "this old man still got a trope" moment and he beats Dorian Brogy as an old man. Perhaps, but he's just so old. You know, it reminds me of King Neptune. King Neptune keeps on hyping up how strong he was. Like he's freaking Robert Baratheon. Oh, I was strong in my day. Oh, King Harold, do you remember when we were young? Ha ha ha. And then you see King Neptune fight current day, and he can't do it because his back keeps on breaking. So I'm afraid Jarl's gonna have the same thing. Like, oh, I'm actually too old now. You know, I'm too old. I can't even do anything. Jarl dying as a proud YN would be legendary. Yeah, dying after that speech, it would be nice. Bro, de-aging is insane, actually. I'm calling it now. Usopp will be the one to remove Jarl's sword from his head. I think de-age. He'll probably buy Loki and Luffy some time versus Emu and show everyone why the pre-Herald Giants were the most dominant and feared force in the OP verse for centuries. You're right, yeah. Yeah, before King Herald, they were known as monsters. So maybe it's Jarl, man. Maybe Jarl's the reason. Either he survives and is the only old fart to talk about the heroism of the youth in the future, or he makes Loki and Hirunden king before dying. Yeah. He could do it. Yeah, now that he's announced that Loki is innocent, he could realistically say, hey, Loki's the new king. Listen to Hirunden, he's also the new king. That is what King Herald would have wanted. Him dying just makes sense, but who knows? I just don't know who's going to fulfill his role afterwards. That's the tough part for me. Unless you say that Hirunden is just him. Hirunden is so knowledgeable and, you know, people respect him enough to where losing Jarl wouldn't matter. I'm torn. But with that being said though, guys, that is it for today's video. Let me know what you thought about all these polls down below. Thanks for tuning in. I really freaking appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys in the next couple of days because 1173 is on the horizon. Peace out and stay safe, y'all.